Hello, good morning, my dear friends. We are going to today discuss the investment model. What is the investment model? There is the traditional method model and also new investment models. There is a subtitle also be the private sector. What is the private sector roles and what is the private sector doing here? So leverage investment and foreign direct investment and the sector specific investment and what is the cluster investment and what is the right model for India. So these things we are going to discuss here. So please subscribe our channel and like and share it if you like. Okay, so we are going to today we see now the first our title is the traditional model. So having a discuss the public sector reforms, the infrastructure and attempt is being to the made to bring them all together. The different investment and model. Talking about the previous sections, section together and also what can be other model for the boosting the investment in economics like India. The contemporary macroeconomics in the frameworks in the revolved around the growth models and around the function of the both saving as well as the investment, but largely the determined by the overall the level of saving. In earlier concept of the closed economy, the India in initially years the post independence and suffered from the low savings and it's a result in low investment leading to the low growth. The India was the believed to be the catch in the low growth cycle, unable to the break through this cycle known as the Hindu rate of the growth. We already discussed the I will give the reference to chapter inclusive growth. The investment was determined by the overall the level of the saving, and secondly the investment was largely by the government. The excessive the spending over the above the saving and result is the deficit in the such economics. It may be the appropriate to define the saving of the economy and different between the economics and the consumption. It could be a final saving means money putting in the bank, government money putting in banks and government security shares and bound debentures, insurance for pension fund, etc., etc. Okay, but the other than the cash held, the other is the physical saving, which is could be the asset such as the real estate, goals, and commodities. Saving can be the cross the households, the sectors, corporate sectors, and even through the departmental undertaking of the government, like the departments of the post, etc. However, the more than 70% of the savings is accounted for by the household sector. It can be the well-being the known that India is the household saving sector is driven the economies. It recent of the increasing in a saving in the post reforms in is known as the microeconomics fundamental strength of India. The investment in the microeconomics frameworks in the applied the increasing the capital means machinery stocks known as the gross capital formation after with the countings for the depreciation means using of the mechanism as net of the capital formation. The growth can be only the increase by the capital of the formation and those the the importance of the investments in an economics. For example, Maruti, if the Maruti decided to be the set of the new plants, the leading to the production of the more cars, increasing in GDP, it will be also be the lead to the greater employment in increasing the incomes for the people. Okay. So, what is the investment model has been the followed by the India in the past? This is the question. So, the traditionally there are two models. If the investments of the top down investment and another is bottom up investment. The first model is the investment in a basic the capital core industries such as the crude oil, steel, cement, power generation, etc. This would lead with the investment in other industries and finally investment in a consumer goods which could be then driven more the investment in a core industry. The other focus the more on small villages industries than allowing for the scalability and to hire more capital intensive the investment over the certain period of times. India opted by the first investment model in the post-independence and part of the second 5-year plan through the new concept investment through the public sector. We already discussed planning in the pre-reforms in investment was through the public sector set up in a core area through the budgetary allocation in subject were to be increasing significance and the capacity in a critical area, achieving the self-reliance, becoming the driver of the industrialization and increasing the overall growth of the economics. Okay, so another, what are the limitation of earlier public sector lead in investment? Some I will tell you what is. The first of the in India, the past was characterized by the low saving results in the low levels of the investment, and those the growth of. Secondly, the Indian always was the binding source of the constraint, the rising out of the increasing social sector, spending of the increasing the subsidy, food, grains, fertilizer, etc. The government was not able to rise the tax revenue in income, resulting is ever with the increase in the fiscal deficit. Okay, these things. So, new investment model, our second concept, most important concept. Don't forget, I am going to tell you the detailedly. So, I personally think whatever I am going to tell you, it helps you the all person who is learning and who is want to be the learn the economy. If you know what is the investment, then you understanding the what is the going in the present time in India. Okay, the concept of the other investment, our concept is the new investment model. So, the concept of other investment model in post reforms, the phenomena, the post liberalization, and with a beginning of the transformation of the India from the closed open economies, the economy present require digging the deeper investment in the shifting for the quantitative to qualitative, from the traditional technology and knowledge intensive for the capacity building efficient capital investment. So first one is the private sector investment. Okay, so private sector investment, the opening the economics allowed for the newer avenues for the investment of the specific, especially as the private investment. This is the help to rising the investment levels in economics, but with a difference of the investments earlier of the being the public sector public sector domain, now to the private sector investment. The post reforms with a large roles of the private sector and liberalization of the environments allowed the private sector to operate in a competitive environment, and at the same time a new windows of the untapped opportunity, resulting in a plunge back of the profit translating into increasing investment. This lead to the supplementary core investment and also be diversified capital investment into newer area. So this model also be the differ from the public sector investment, which was more capacity buildings and investments to be the efficiency in capital investments. This contribution to the level raisings of the core investments and diversification of the industrial basic of the capable and lifting the planning of the growth happened in case of the India. So leveraging investment, what is the leveraging investment? So another investment is the model being to be the experiments in India. This is the chapter is the private sectors and the partnership PPP models, which is being to be the user the infrastructure project, such as the investment can be the known as the leverage investment. Okay. So briefly, this model is the seek to the take the advantages of the strengthen the both of the government as well as the private sectors for the executions of the various of the infrastructure projects and operation by the private sectors for a limited time period. The recent of the time there were too few question the marks on this model due to the lack of the transparency and ambiguous. This model is the concessionary agreement. The executed the between in the government and private players. There there was there has to be the resolve the mechanisms for the inter dispute rising in the private parties and government. The discontinuance of the Delhi Micro Airport Express line in the examples. Such a instant can detail of the model being used in India. There is nothing to the wrongs with a model if the area of the working responsibility and accountability of the both the private sector, private parties and governments can clearly delineate and made integrated part of the MCA. Okay, MCA means model of the concessionary of the agreement. So foreign direct investment, most important. India for foreign direct investment. I will tell you also the statistic here. As a result of the opening of the economies, this has allowed for inflow of the foreign capital both as the foreign direct investment and as well as foreign portfolio investment. The government only recent as the clubbed all the categories of the FPI means foreign direct FPI investment and FPI and or FPI. These two different but similar. The investment model now being talked about the foreign direct investment, which is the direct investment of the foreign investors in the production or the renderings and the service, having control over the 51% of the share. Means it can also be the indirect if the foreign investor has the control over the minimum 26% of the share. It can also be the which would give its a management control. Means ability to influence the production of the renderings of the service but are not able to be the directly run the business. This model is the goes behind the domestic savings. It's envisioned the supplement to the domestic the investment. This allow for the scalability of the investment even beyond the savings of the economies, and this and model of the used by the China for increasing overall the investments to becoming the fastest the growing economies in the world. It has been the redefine the boundary of the investment. The various forms of the foreign direct investment in India could be the followed. First is the wholly owned subsidiary. Second is wholly owned company or incorporate in India, and joint venture company is the corporate on India. Means joint venture with India partners with the management control or the control over the share 51% of the direct management by the business. Fourth is the direct joint venture into the existing the line of the business with a management control. All options are open in India. The government for the time to notify the FDI cap for the different sectors of the 26%, 49%, 51%, 74%, and the 100%. The government is considered the increasing the sector of the caps in many areas to the attractive the more FDI in India. The changing of the sectoral caps notify the Department of the Industrial Policy and Promotion DIPP under the Ministry of the Industrial Commerce. The foreign direct investment has the two disadvantages. First is the one of the augmentation of the domestic investment, and the another helping in meetings of the current account deficit. For the detailed elaboration, refer to the section of the foreign investment and balance of payments. I will discuss after. Okay, the sector specific investment. Another investment models is being used in India is the setting of the specific economic zone, special economic zones to attract the investment for the increasing export from India. This investment adopted by the China 70s has been responsible for the China emerging as the largest exporter and manufacturer goods and position beyond the US in the past, such as the investment cannot be known specific sector specific investment model. Okay, cluster investment. While this sector specific investment can be multi-dimensional cover the different industry and group cluster and investment can be there to be the promote the specific set of the industry such as the handloom, leather, garments and bracewear, electronic goods, etc. This cluster is the comprise the small scale industry which is joined the certain of the benefits of the location or the proximity of the raw material market and availability of the steel manufacture. These clusters are promoted by the government. Okay. So last thing we are going to discuss here, the right model for India. What is the right model for India? Okay. The above are various investment model which have emerged in recent times, especially in post reforms and also for the experiment of the emerging market. These models are not alternative to the each other, but are the only variant of the investment model. At the broad level, the investment in India has to be driven by the private sector and FDI. However, this will require a large role of the government in providing the policy support with a partnership approach and enable the government to facilitate the natural flow of investment to bringing back India on the high growth and trajectory. The policy support of the requirement well drafted of the saturating the policy in different areas, especially in special area of the pricing and tax matters. These are the areas the grave the concerns of the affecting of investments in economics. Pricing should be the such in induce the investment and also at the same times the protect at the interest and ultimate consumer. At the same time, it should be also be the ensured that the pricing is the competitive. The similar there should be the certainty of the tax unambiguous, the provided the comfort that they would not able to applicable the retrospectively unless the warranted in the exceptionals of the circumstance that would that too it should be on on the case to case the base. The policy should be like the goal post which are the firmly the entrenched and visible to the all. The partnership approach is not a prevent but a allow or finding a way of the getting things the performant but within the policy of framework. It is not a short circumting of laid down the proceeding but looking at them the positively. It is about giving the speed of clearance through the single window approach the both central as well as government level. Okay, my dear friends, we discussed it all through all models and also through the specific things means subtitle also. So please subscribe our channel and like and share if you like. Okay, thank you my dear friends.